What we're going to do is talk about your brain. You have got one, and believe it or not, the person that you work for has as well. The one in your head, I can go into it in great detail if I had more time, but all I need you to know right now is it has two particular parts. The green bit is your neocortex. Your neocortex is incredibly intelligent. Not because it's yours and I'm trying to get your business, it's actually incredibly intelligent. Now, whether or not you think you could fly the space shuttle or not is irrelevant, because only one of our astronauts has ever been able to play the guitar like Eric Clapton. So it depends on how you use your intelligence. When you use that part of the brain, you can face anything, absolutely anything. Now, let me just give you a very quick example of that. I am the most squeamish animal I know. I do not cope with blood very well at all. My wife loves Casualty and Holby. She absolutely adores the bits where people are having bits cut off live on Channel 4, and I can't abide any of it. I can't do it. But I spent 10 years of my police service, and when you're squeamish and up to your elbows in blood, it gets really difficult to write tickets. But the point is I could cope with that. And the reason I coped with it is because my brain was intelligent enough to know that when I was wearing that black suit, and when I was out there doing the sense of duty and the job I'd been trained for, I couldn't be squeamish, and so I wasn't. I didn't bat an eyelid. I picked up body parts that you don't even want to think about. But I couldn't even watch it on the television, and I know it's strawberry jam. I know it is. So you just have to be aware that actually your brain is very circumstantial and environmental. That bit in the middle there, the light bit, is as thick as mud. And it's not because it's yours. Again, I'm not insulting you. Mine is as well. That part of your brain there knows absolutely nothing about how to do anything except emotion. And that part of your brain is the bit that will overwhelm your intelligent brain if you let it. And you let it under your own control. It's absolutely under your control as long as you keep it there. And we're going to look at why. So that part of your brain there, the one thing you do need to know this morning is it knows no difference between imagination and reality. Absolutely nothing. If I told you a happy story right now, hopefully you would laugh. If I told you a sad story, you would cry. I would. I'll cry at the Andrex puppy if he's sweet enough. So it really wasn't a very good copper. But I can actually get very emotional, and so can you. You can watch something on Facebook and you'll cry. For crying out loud, it's all lies. As Abigail was talking, it was so relevant when Abigail was talking this morning in the fact that Facebook is such a false picture. It's actually greener on the other side on Facebook, but there's one good reason. All the things that look greener on the other side of Facebook is because it's been fertilized by bullshit. It's as simple as that. So, inside your head, you have that limbic system, that thick bit in the middle. We could go into massive details as to what it does for you every moment of the day, but right now, just for an example, it's the one that's making your eyes the right size for the ambient light around you. It's the one that's making your heart beat for the right amount of exercise you're taking right now. It's making my beat a little bit faster because I'm under an adrenaline rush to be able to perform. So that part of your brain actually adjusts your whole demeanor on the circumstances you're in. It's your inner genie. Whatever you say, your inner genie says, your wish is my command. If you say, I'm nervous, yeah, your wish is my command. If you say, I'm really confident standing in front of all these ladies, and thank goodness you're here, young man, because you're my backup. But the point is, thank you so much for coming. But the point is if I stand here thinking, oh my God, I've got all these women to impress, and as a man, I know how difficult you lot are to impress. So the thing is that I'm stood here thinking, this is okay. This is going well. This is going to go really well. And even if it doesn't, I have to tell myself that because my inner genie is listening. If we actually take that to a scientific level, your inner genie is like your inner detective. It's your reticular activating system. And your reticular activating system has one function that we're interested in, and that is to find evidence that backs up your core belief. If you think you're crap, you will find everything that proves that you are crap. If you think you're good, you'll find everything that tells you that you're good. You can absolutely relate, I hope, to certain circumstances that will prove that happens. The next time you decide that you're going to buy a car, you decide it's going to be a black BMW. Yeah, we all wish. But we hope it will be a black BMW. The day you make that decision, there are thousands of black BMWs on the road. That's incredible. They were always there. You never noticed them, but the second you thought you needed a black BMW, all the black BMWs in the whole of the UK suddenly seem to be in your neighbourhood. When my wife and I tried for our children, the first one took a little while to come along. It was okay, but we needed a little bit of encouragement, perhaps. Everybody was pregnant when Karen wasn't. Everybody was pregnant when Karen wasn't. Even the fat guy at the pub. Even he had a bigger belly than my wife right now, and it wasn't fair. It's ridiculous. There were pregnant ladies ever since we arrived on this earth. That's how we carried on. But when it wasn't happening to us, our negative focus made us realize that everybody else was pregnant around us. So, if we're going to use that internal genie, if we're going to use that reticular activating system that's going to look for evidence, we need to use it properly. We need to be able to have an intention of what we were going to do during the day. We're going to have a belief of how well we're going to do it, and we're going to put some actions behind that. And if we do that, if we put those three together, you're going to get results. But of course, if you intend to do something and your belief is that you haven't got time or there's no way on this earth your skills will come up to it, you can put as many actions into it as much as you like. Your core belief will actually mean your results are really crap. Really crap. Because whatever it is, whether it's a really astounding success, the one thing that you will notice is the flaw. There used to be a rule in the police service that you were only ever as good as your last bad job. You could be the best thief taker ever. You could go out there and catch the Yorkshire Ripper before everybody else had even found out that he had that name. But what they would remember about you is when you put diesel in a petrol car. That's all they'd remember. It's crazy. But we're just as bad to ourselves. We are just as bad to ourselves. This could go really well, and then I'm going to say one word that I think, oh goodness, I shouldn't have said that, and that's going to eat me if I let it all the way back to Bristol. Because you may have guessed, I'm Bristolian. So, if you have an intention, but you put positive belief into it, I can do this, I can do this. If you do that, and then you use your positive actions, how am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? You'll get a success. Now, it doesn't matter if it's earth-shattering, but what it will be is the success that you're looking for. And that's all you need, is success. I am Bristolian, and I can say, I'd be a success. I'd be a success. But I can be a positive success too, if I think about it positively. So, how do we stop ourselves doing that? What habits do we have that I need you to stop in an instant, if you possibly can? The first one is asking yourself those questions about the past. Why did I do that? God, why did I do that? Why on earth did I say that? The second you do that, you're immediately going back into the past in a negative way. And that little bit of your limbic system there, that's your genie, knows no difference between imagination and reality. It also knows no difference between time. So straight away, you will give yourself all of the negative emotions you need every time you go back to a false memory or a negative memory, as if you were living it now. A nice little example of a story that I can give you is a lady came to see me and she said, I need some help, I'm eating too much, I need to lose some weight. She wasn't massive, but she just didn't feel comfortable. The point is this lady wanted to lose some weight, and she said, I can tell you why it is. I didn't need to know. I'm solution focused, so I don't need to analyze anything from the past, because guess what? I can't do anything to change it. What I can do is change people's outlook on how that's going to affect their future. So, she tells me I'm adopted. I was adopted at birth, and my parents were beautiful. They told me that I'd been adopted right from day one. They told me that every other mummy and daddy, they had to have what they got. But actually, I was the one that they were able to pick. So it was fantastic. But when I was 6, she said, I played up, and I was sent to bed. And when I got sent to bed, I got halfway up the stairs, I turned around and said, you can't send me to bed because you're not my real daddy. And the next morning, I woke up absolutely in tears because I didn't know how to say sorry. And as a teenager, I didn't know how to say sorry, and besides that, it was far too late by now. And as an adult, she said, I was walking down the aisle on my wedding day to marry the man of my dreams, who is still my husband 20-odd years later. And she said, when I got to the end of the aisle with my dad, she said, I started crying, not because he was waiting for me, but because this man had given me everything. This man had given me a house, love, support, enthusiasm, everything else I could possibly want when nobody else wanted me. How on earth could I have said anything like that bad that long ago? So I said, okay, what can you do about it? She said, I don't know. I said, if you did know, what would you do about it? She said, I'd write a letter. Bloody hell, that was quick. You didn't know 5 seconds ago. What would the letter say? She said, oh, I would say, I love him, I respect him, I'm grateful for what he did, and I couldn't be more sorry for what he said. Okay. She wrote that letter. It took 3 days to get to him in the Isle of Skye, and he phoned her the same day. When she told me, I said to her, did he say anything? She said, yeah, I haven't got a bloody clue what you're talking about. Now, she was 43, and she did that when she was 6, and she'd been eating biscuits every day in regret of why did I do that? It's tosh, absolute tosh. What happens is you remember it, and other people, why do you think you're so important that everybody's going to store all of your failures? So forget it. Don't do it yourself. What does she mean by that? Somebody will say something to you in the workplace and storm off. She said it once. You will repeat that insult in your head 1,000 times in the next hour. And you'll do it the next day, and she's picking on Melanie, and she gave Ellen a really hard time last month, and how she treats Toby as the only man in the office is bloody diabolical. She said it once, and you've let her kick your backside for every second since. You're doing that. You're causing that damage. If somebody says something or does something or even thinks something, because being ladies, you will know what they're thinking. Trust me, I'm a married man. If it happens, you have that control. You can dismiss it in a second and think you're not worth my time, or you can let them kick your backside for the rest of eternity. It's entirely up to you. What does she mean by that? It might come in an email. An email says, can you let me know when that report's going to be ready? And you pick up that email and you read, can you let me know when that report's going to be ready? It wasn't written like that. It wasn't written like that. But you'll read it. Don't. If somebody is writing to you in those terms, accept it as positive as best you can until you find out otherwise. Then you can deal with that. That could have gone better. Yes, it could. Life is not a dress rehearsal, and things can go better. We used to have a colleague that wanted to get promoted. We wanted him promoted too, because it meant he'd move on. So when he went for his interview, there was a queue of us waiting outside the office to find out how it went, because we were genuinely interested. And funnily enough, when he came out, we said, how'd it go? Oh my God, I didn't say that. Oh my God, I didn't say that. And I can't believe I said that. Do you know what? A week later, we were hiding sharp objects from him. But he found out that he did was, oh my God, thank God for that. That's no way to greet promotion. The one thing that I can ask you to do, if you don't take anything else away from today, and I hope you take a few, this one. If something could have gone better, don't debrief it. Unless you're going to ask yourself one word, how? How can I do that better? If I can do it better, I won't say that. Next time, I won't say that. And next time, I'm damned if I'm going to forget to say that, because that's a little golden nugget I forgot. You're not debriefing a disaster anymore. You are planning a success. And that part of your brain that knows no difference between imagination and reality is now seeing you as a success. It will act on that information, because that little detective has just found some more evidence that you can do it. It's all about your focus. It won't go well? No, this won't go. Oh my God, it won't go well. No, it won't, funnily enough, you see, because the second you do that, that little detective has said, oh my God, this isn't going to go well. And it gives you all the panic restrictions that you need. So it's going to make your heart beat faster and your breathing more rapid. It's going to make you sweat. And that's the last thing you want to do in an interview, is go into those great big sweat rings. But actually, the best way of doing that is to think, I'm going to get really sweaty. And funnily enough, you do. The one way to gain weight, Abigail covered it today. This ain't going to go well. It's a diet. I've tried everything and I'm going to put weight on. I don't know why I'm bothering. Cortisol will be the instant response you get to those worries. And cortisol is a thing that puts weight onto your adrenal band. So she was absolutely right. Cortisol is your weight gainer. If you want to lose weight, stop worrying about your weight and you'll lose it. Simple as that. No one will like this. No, they won't. So what happens is, if you think nobody will like that idea, you don't even voice it. You have got the best idea in your company. It doesn't matter what position you hold in your company, you've come up with a golden nugget that's going to save you time and money and effort, and because nobody's going to like it, it doesn't pass your lips. Have some confidence about what you can do and what your ideas are worth, because they are worth a fortune. Nothing good happens to me? Tosh. Absolute tosh. 5 things happen to me every day that are a blessing, and I don't even get off the landing. I wake up in my own home. Millions of people in this world can't do that. I wake up by the love of my life, and hopefully nobody else does that. My wife and I have been together since we were 16. Aww. And I think, no, everybody does that. You'll make me cry. I was going to go on to say, I think she can't find the front door in the dark or something, because she's always there every morning, and that is a blessing. I get up and I put both my feet to the floor. There are thousands of people that haven't got feet to put to the floor. And when I do put my feet to the floor, I get up on them unaided. And there are millions of elderly people who can't have a wee until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, their first legitimate one perhaps, because their carer doesn't turn up before then. And when I do go to the bathroom, you don't want to dwell on that image, but I walk out having flushed over a gallon of perfectly good drinking water down the toilet every day. And there are people without a thimbleful, without a parasite in it. So when you actually look at your blessings, I go down the stairs, feed my cat, she's number 6. And my life goes on like that. It has to. I'm not stood here being smart, I've been poorly. Oh my goodness, have I been sick. You don't become a police officer for 30 years without falling out of the tree. And on a couple of occasions, I hit every branch on the way down. But I'm not going to do that again, because this is how I work now. Every single one of you has just reduced your heart attack risk by 40% for the next 24 hours. Every single one of you. Because just by seeing that picture, that part of your brain that knows no difference between imagination and reality imagined you were in that hug, because that's how powerful it is. You just injected your heart with oxytocin, and that oxytocin turned your aortic valve into the consistency of a soft poached egg, just by looking at a hug. Those hard-hearted buggers at your place of work, they don't get that. That's why they're hard-hearted, and that's where that expression comes from, because they calcify their arteries. So just thinking about a hug will actually reduce your heart attack risk by 40% for the next 24 hours. Around about midday tomorrow, you might want to start thinking about a hug. The reason we like Buddha in this country, most of us in this room will not be Buddhist, including me, and I have the greatest respect for that lifestyle, but most of us will have had a Buddha somewhere in the house. There's a Buddha in every room in my house, except the little one. I am respectful. Even Buddha doesn't want to dwell on that image. But the reason I have a Buddha is because you only have to see Buddha meditating, and you get the same serotonin rush in your head. That's why we like the image of Buddha. It's not just chance. Every one of you went, ooh, in your head, even if you didn't say it, when you saw Buddha. So what do I want you to do? Exactly as Abigail was talking about this morning. I want you to find some time for you. Now, that's ridiculous talking to PAs like that. I know it is, because I've been to so many PA conferences and I get the same blank look. I want you to give yourself some time. I want you to find 20 minutes in a day. And I want you to do something that you are passionate about. And it's got to be for you. The reason I'm saying that is because I do the same. I paint. I love my oils and acrylic painting. I play the saxophone really badly, but to me it's fantastic. And I dance 4 times a week, minimum. 4 hours of my week is spent holding Karen in my arms. If nothing else, it's a good excuse to do it. But the point I'm making is I make that time. Like Abigail, I am self-employed. If I don't work, I don't earn. It's as simple as that. But I have to give that balance of time to say, do you know what, this is me this time. And the reason I do that is for a reason that I can give you an analogy for. Every single one of you at some point will have done first aid. Whether it's at school, Girl Guides, Scouts, whatever it might have been, or at work. You were taught, as I was as a cop, prioritise. When you turn up at a first aid scene, you prioritise. Is it that bloke in the corner shouting, ow, 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 ow? No, he's a bloke, that'll be a paper cut. Is it this lady that's motionless at my feet? Yeah, actually, she hasn't even blinked her eyes for the last 30 seconds, so she's come in pretty high up the list. But actually, the priority at any first aid scene is me. Because if I get hurt, nobody gets any help. You're exactly the same. No matter what role you perform, whether it be husband, wife, whether it be brother, sister, whether it be mum, dad, PA, if you fall over, you're not there for anyone else. And one of the questions asked of Abigail earlier this morning was, what do I do if my boss gets overwhelmed with work and she overwhelms me? That's fine. One of the questions I would ask you to ask her or him is, that's fine. I will do that extra task. I understand that. Which task would you like me to put on hold whilst I'm doing it? How often do you do both tasks? That's not fair. They put so much work on you guys, so much work. They can just delegate all the time. And a good boss won't do that all the time. But what would they like you to put on hold whilst you prioritise that one? What you're actually asking is, at what point did your oversight become my emergency? But what you're being sensible about is, okay, you want me to use my time, it's valuable. We can give money away and we can get money back. We can give our clothes to charity because that makes more room in the wardrobe to get some more. The one thing you give away all the time is the one thing that you'll never replace, and that's your time. You will give that away like water. And it's so valuable, it's incredible. And you'll give it away without thinking about it. Positive interaction, I want you to be amongst those people that make you smile. Because a smile is contagious. It's contagious for exactly the same reason that if I was to yawn now, you would yawn. When I yawn, you immediately yawn. And now I've said yawn 5 times, and I am counting. Most of you are deciding that you want to yawn now. And hopefully it's nothing to do with me. But the point is, I only have to say the word yawn, and you want to do it. That's 6 now. But the point is if I smile, you smile back. You have to. Even if it's a stalkery type smile, you have to smile back. If you have Botox, it's proven in 2012, if you have Botox and you can't smile back, your ability to communicate emotion is a nightmare. Because when I smile and frown, you do the same and you get it. But if your face is fixed in concrete, you can't get it. Simple as that. So what I want you to do is absolutely immerse yourself in good, friendly company. And if your company at work is not good and friendly, be the contagious smile that enters that room as a disease, because you are going to do yourself a lot of good if you do. Positive thought, let's have a look at that one. There is a really offensive word in this English language. It starts with C and it ends with T, and it's 4 letters long. And it's not that one, you mucky bunch. Dear, dear, dear. It's not that one, it's that one. The second you say that, your inner genie believes it. I can't find time to do that. I haven't got the skills to do that. I can't do that. So let's have a look what you're going to do about that. You're going to start talking to yourselves in 4 Ps. The first one is personal. You talk to yourself as I. I. There's no question in that little limbic system, that genie, about who you're talking about now. The next one is your present. I am. Not I will, I can, I might. I am. I am is very present. Positive, whatever you want to be. I am efficient. As a PA, you'd like to think that, wouldn't you? But absolutely you are. People don't employ inefficient PAs for very long, so the fact you're sat here at a conference long enough to actually call yourself a PA might suggest you're pretty efficient. But if you want to get even better, what you do is you make yourself incredibly efficient, because that brain doesn't understand the fact that you're lying. If you want to be totally in control, then be totally in control. I am totally in control. I am beautifully calm. Even when my boss walks in and gives me another bit of work, I am beautifully calm, because your brain will hold on to that and believe it. You magnify your potential. When we were children, and particularly back in my generation, I'm 52, I will tell you that I don't look nearly as good as most of you for your age, but I'm 52. Now, when I went to primary school, we were given magnifying glasses to look at stones and insects. But funnily enough, every single one of our primary school exercise books had a big burn mark on the front, because when you give a kid a magnifying glass, they direct those sun rays. It's instinctive, we got to do it. But the funny thing is, your brain does the same. So when you focus on something, you set fire to those thoughts. Now, if you focus on the negatives and the I can'ts, you are going to set fire to your failures. If, on the other hand, you focus on what you can do and what you can do well and what you can do even better, you are going to set an inferno of success in your head. And your brain, that knows no difference between imagination and reality, has to do exactly that. What you focus on gets bigger. So you might as well make it success. And it's your choice. Absolutely your choice. Anything that makes you feel good. I mean, so most of us, when we actually see a little baby tiger, when I do my full presentation for businesses, I put up lots of pictures. But one of them is a little baby. Now, some of us will go, oh, some of us will have a completely different reaction to the picture of a little baby. But then we put up a baby tiger, and the whole room goes, oh. It's amazing. But it's just anything that makes you feel good. Anything. So what I do at home is I've got images everywhere. I've got images everywhere of things that will make me go buzz. And I know it's a horrible little buzz line, but I used to be a beekeeper. So my bees used to be pictures everywhere, because people are scared witless of bees. Me, oh my God, it was amazing. You open up the hive and see 50 of those beautiful little ladies working hard. It's a bugger to remember all their names. But if you see them and you're a keeper, nothing makes you buzz more. I've got pictures of dancers, because I really am in my element when I'm dancing. So it's anything that makes you buzz, because your brain, the second you see anything, knows no difference between imagination and reality. And if you have any doubts about that, you only have to watch The American Werewolf in London. It's the most awful film when it comes to makeup nowadays. CGI has far outdone it. So you can see it's a bloke in a rubber mask, but you still jump. You still jump. You know it's a 2D image. You know it's a bloke in a rubber mask. You know werewolves, hopefully, don't exist. But you still jump because your brain knows no difference between imagination and reality. So if you can get that amount of reaction from a rubbish image like that, then put a nice one up of anything you like. Even if it's the family members you do love, it might be those that you want to put up because that makes us buzz. And if you can have something on your desktop or on your actual desk itself that makes you buzz, your whole demeanour will be brighter during the day. No problem at all with that at all.
I wonder how...
Gratitude cards, massively, massively, yeah. Gratitude is one of the best things you can do. And to make somebody else grateful is just as empowering. So if you follow me through London, please don't follow me through London, because you will want to kill me. Because unlike most of the people I've come across today, and it took me 4.5 hours to get here today, I give way to everybody. And the people behind really don't like that. But you know what? I feel so buoyant. It was meant to take me 2 hours to get here. It took me twice as long, and I am chilled. Because everybody in front of me had a good day, and so do I. So yeah, if you count your gratitude, if you count your blessings, just like the cat and everything else, you will absolutely buzz, because when you're feeling grateful, you get those hormonal influxes through your body.
Yeah.
My younger self, I would, right, so this is, thank you so much for that one. I would tell myself, don't worry. And this is the exercise I would get me to do. So everybody this, I'm not picking on you, that was a nice reaction. Right, so I want you to do 2 things. I want you to make 2 lists. The first list I want you to make in your head right now is all the things you have ever solved by worrying about them alone. Done? Finished? Right, I thought you might be. That's right, so that's a rubbish one, because there's nothing on that list. So what I want you to do is make a little bit of a longer list. This one is all the things you have ever worried about in your life that turned out to be not nearly as bad as you thought they would be in the first place. Have I just proved to you that you don't need to worry? I was the biggest worrier in the world. I worried about everything. Now, I don't give a damn. And if a disaster comes along, I see it as an opportunity. I see that as an opportunity. I tell a lovely long story, but I haven't got time for it today, but I could do. But I'll ask you this one. How often have you gone for a job, not got it, and been, livid? That was your job. You were born to do that job. That was the reason you were put on this earth. And 6 weeks later, you look at the person who got it and think, thank God I dodged that bullet. Now, 6 weeks before, that was the biggest disaster that you had experienced in your life up until that moment. At that moment, you were told you didn't get it. It was a nightmare. And 6 weeks later, you are thanking the gods above, no matter what name you give them, that you didn't get it. It's about waiting for that disaster to be grateful for it.